back to the Prostate Cancer Patient Empowerment Program, where science meets real life for people living with and beyond prostate cancer. I'm your host, Dr. Gabriela Ilie. Today I'm joined by Richard, a stage 4 prostate cancer thrive from Ottawa, Canada, and a proud PC-PEP graduate. His story begins in the chaos of COVID, months before his severe back pain, a matter-of-fact diagnosis and a prognosis measured in years. What followed was radiation, a blinded immunotherapy trial, and a decision to become his own best advocate. In this conversation, Richard shares the missing chapter he found in PC-PEP, the daily practices, the body support, and a community that refuses to let anyone walk alone. We talk about adaptation over resistance, faith, oh yes, faith, and gratitude, cardiovascular risk on ADT, and why prescribe, describe, demonstrate isn't just for clinicians, it's for all of us. If you or someone you love has a new diagnosis, or you're somewhere on the survivorship road, this episode is a hand on your shoulder that says everything is going to be all right. Welcome, everyone. Richard, thank you so much for agreeing to do this podcast with me. I'm really, really grateful. I know you've been a PC Pepper in the program, and I'm so grateful that you're willing to take the time to do this.
Oh, I wouldn't think otherwise. I just, your program, I say, is the missing chapter in the book on healing, or on dealing with the diagnosis. Or the missing leg on a chair. This is until I got involved with the program, I never, I knew something was missing, because the doctors are so busy and just focused on the medication, your diagnosis. But until such time as I was exposed to this, I thought that is the missing chapter in this whole journey.
Yeah. And before I ask you to tell me more about that, let me go back. Let us both go back a little bit. So,
Yes.
take me a little bit back to the time when you got diagnosed. What was happening in your life? What were you doing? What was your life looking like back then? And then how did you come across? How did you find out? What happened?
Okay.
Yeah.
I had been experiencing lower back pain for about 6 months before I was actually diagnosed. And I was dealing with my family doctor. We were in COVID, the dreaded COVID at that time. So all discussions were over the telephone. And the doctor continued to diagnose stronger and stronger medication. But it wasn't dealing with the lower back pain, to the point that one night, I guess it was in December, I ended up getting up and going to the emergency room. I said, I can't deal with this pain any longer, because I was on pain medication around the clock, and it wasn't diluting the pain sufficiently that you could get on with your life. So when I went to the emergency room, the doctor there said, you need to see a urologist, and you need to have an MRI as soon as possible. He said, unfortunately, I can't, with the regulations, I can't do that through emergency, but I'll send a note to your doctor. So I said, oh, please do, because I just can't deal with this any longer. So the doctor, a family doctor, organized for an MRI fairly quickly. I had the MRI. Then on January the 8th, I still remember the date, 2021, I received a call from him saying, this doesn't look good. So this was really the first blow to say, you have cancer. But it was done in a very matter-of-fact way. And I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not that bad, because I didn't have the actual test results in my hand. So fortunately, so he said, I'll schedule you with a urologist. Well, the date was 2 months out. So I took it upon myself to phone the hospital to say, look, can I get in to see anybody? And within 2 weeks, I ended up seeing a urologist. So being my own advocate, and that is a critical component of
Mhm.
all of this, is you need to take charge. You can't just be dependent on doctors who are overworked or others to to pull you through. You need to take charge to the extent that you can in a respectful manner.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
of course. Of course.
And then, so I got to see my urologist within 2 weeks' time. And again, it was during COVID. So it was just the doctor and me in the room. My wife was on the cell phone at home. And so he hit the second blow to say, this is stage 4 cancer it's in your lungs. The lesions are too numerous to count. It's in your bones and it's obviously in your prostate. So he said, I just want to do a biopsy um, on something other than it's in your prostate. So we went through that whole, just to confirm that it's prostate cancer throughout your body.
Yeah.
So we did this, and he also said, so I asked what the prognosis was. He said that it was probably 2 years, 50% of the patients in my condition are gone. It's over, within the next 2 years, the 50%, the remaining 50% are gone. So he said, okay, I'll go for the 4 years, but it was extremely, and you're receiving this information alone.
Mm.
Um, and anyway, I have outlived their expectations by a full year so far, and I'm still holding, so I just feel blessed by that. And I count the PC-PEP program for a good part of that. I,
Thank you so
I
much.
uh, certainly
Thank you.
accepted my fate, but I had the normal questions, like why me? What can I do about this awful situation? What
Yeah.
would I had another thing? Is this really a correct diagnosis? They've got somebody else's papers and they got me mixed
It
up.
can't be me. It can't
It
be me.
can't be
I'm
me.
okay, but the back
I've
is killing me. But
I've
it
had
can't
such
be
a
me.
wonderful life,
Totally,
and
totally,
why would this
totally.
happen? Yeah.
I mean,
So,
here I'm
okay.
sitting and I'm listening to your story, and I'm going to say, no, it can't be. It can't be. I love Richard. I don't want, and I bet you this is what's happening, with partners, with family members. Come on, can we get a second opinion? This
That's right.
cannot
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. So then I met with my oncologist
Yeah,
and I was scheduled for radiation, 6 treatments of radiation.
yeah,
Albeit that I only had 6, I was completely zonked out. It just
yeah,
took the feet right out from under me, probably for 6 months. And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, anyway, I gave in to this and slept an awful lot. I just said, okay, if
Mhm.
this is you just go with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, then the oncologist was closing off or was got me onto a clinical trial, a blind test, 2-year clinical trial where they
Hmm.
were experimenting with immunotherapy
Right.
and I said, oh, for sure, count me in. And he got me into the last spot here in Ottawa. I had the immunotherapy. When all was closed off, I discovered that I did have the immunotherapy. I was not receiving a
Randomized.
placebo.
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
so fortunate about that. And my oncologist believes that's another reason why I'm doing as well
Hmm.
as I can, because I've had successes with immunotherapy in
Right.
other cancer
Forms of cancer.
diagnosis,
Yeah.
but they wanted to experiment with prostate cancer. Can, does it have the same? They stopped the trial about 3 months shy of the 2 year period, saying they were not going to get clear results, so they just abandoned it. But I got what I needed out of it. I
Exactly.
got CT, MRI scans every 3 months. I got to see my doctor every 3 weeks. I got the immunotherapy drip every three weeks. But you felt as though you were on a bloody roller coaster. You were in and out of the and you said, well, if this is what it takes, this is what it takes. It was
Beautiful
just,
adaptation on your part. Beautiful,
yeah.
humbling in many ways, but
Oh, it
you
is. Yeah.
adapted right away. You said, okay, I'm tired. I'm going to go to sleep. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
going to go through a series of going to the hospital, coming back home. So there's a whole cycle of appointments that are very hard on the body, on the psyche.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to
Yes.
do that. But going through this adaptation, it's so helpful. Instead of resisting it, you're saying, okay, I'm going to
Take
go with
me.
this. Take,
Take me.
okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and you would go and because it was during COVID, the halls of the hospital were empty. The chairs were piled on top of each other. You felt as though
Right.
you were going into a
A
storage
ghost
area
town.
or a but it was what it was, and I'm just so thankful for the medical treatment that I received and getting on that clinical trial is
Yeah,
was
yeah.
what.
So it's January 2021. You're being diagnosed. Your life is taking a very interesting turn. You adapt, which I think says so much of your character and who you are as a human being. People have different responses to stressors, and this is a
Yeah,
major stressful event.
yeah, yeah, yes,
And you,
yeah,
instead of resisting it, you say, okay, I've been through difficult things before. This is just another one. I'm going to adapt and I'm going to go with the flow, which is so wise, Richard. And I'm
yeah.
so happy that we're talking about this because there will be so many. Maybe there is another man out there in a similar situation. If we just reach one person, we've done our job, right?
Yes, yes. That's exactly the way I feel.
You know, yeah,
There was one individual that was diagnosed with a similar that was in the PEP program.
yeah, yeah,
And I can recall meeting up with him in one of the breakout rooms, and he was hung up with, I keep telling people I've got prostate cancer, and they dismiss it, because they say, well, there's prostate cancer can be cured. And he said, no, but it's in my bones, it's in my lungs, and all of that, and he was more upset about that
Mhm.
than just saying, you
Yeah,
don't need to
yeah,
justify how sick you are. You
yeah.
just say, in fact, I didn't share
Mhm.
with anybody,
Yeah,
but
interesting.
I
Yeah.
didn't share with anybody in my but my family and my two closest friends
Yeah.
that I was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer. Uh, and then after a year, when I finally felt, and I had started your program, did I feel, okay, I'm grounded. I can now share it with the rest of the world and my friends, and
Yeah.
because I can give some answers to
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
so
And you're strong enough to almost help them deal with it. And this is, again, I'm so happy we're talking about that too, because at first, and this is a common recurrence. You tell people, geez, I've been diagnosed with cancer and it's advanced, and they, the tendency is to say, I'm sorry, and then there's almost this kind of despair settling in. And
yeah, yeah,
I talk to men all the time, and they say, I don't want you to be sorry. I want you to tell me, gee, that sucks. What can we do about it?
yeah,
Anything I can do to help. So what
yeah,
would help in this case? So rather,
yes, yeah,
come on my tribe and tell me, we're in this together. Okay, let's figure out. Are there some like you were saying, I need to sleep more. Okay. Uh do you want me to take you out sometime? Should I cook a meal for you? you want to watch a movie and, because, you're not going to be very active or whatever the situation is, what can we do to diminish the stress on you and kind of make it fun and give us an opportunity to hang more?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And that was one of the big things is
Mm.
when I felt my strength and energy coming back, I got involved with, I've always been a social individual and
Yeah.
participating and doing a lot of volunteer work. And so
Yeah.
I immediately cut off all of the volunteer stuff
Mhm.
and went for pleasure things to satisfy me,
Beautiful, because you
To-
need
to-
that care. You need that
yeah,
pampering. You need
yeah.
beautiful. Oh, Richard, this
Not
is such
going
a great
into it.
podcast. I'm so glad we're talking about this.
Not going into it to say, "Hello, I'm new to the group. I've got stage 4 cancer." You
Yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
share that, but you
yeah.
just it was an outlet to that you weren't focusing on yourself. Not that I
Yeah.
ever dwelled on the disease. You accept it and say, okay, this my. What I didn't say is that I have a very strong faith,
Mm.
and that is not that I'm sitting praying to God on a daily basis. "Oh, take this away, take this away." No,
Yeah, yeah,
you just
no.
you say, I appreciate what I've got
Mm.
left, what I can do in my life. And I even appreciate some of the things that have been taken away from me. And this is only recently that I've came to not focus on those, but to say, okay, it's been taken away, but gosh, you experienced that pleasure, and how good is that? It just is very uplifting to say, to be grateful for the things that you still have and even the things that have been taken away because you've had the opportunity to experience it. And
Yeah.
that
That's
that
true prayer again. And you know what, Richard? I think that's true prayer when you say, this is not about me. Help me, God Almighty, hear your voice.
yes,
Help
yes,
me hear
yeah,
your voice.
yeah.
Help me feel your bliss and your love and your
And
care.
I'll tell you one thing, and you can edit this out of the, but I wasn't dwelling on, it was probably 6, 8 months in, and I
Mm.
wasn't dwelling on, I was going from the kitchen, heading up to the bedroom, and I felt a hand on my shoulder and a voice say, "Everything's going to be all right."
Mm.
And I thought, I wasn't even asking, but thank you, and
Wow. Yeah.
where
Yeah.
like, it just
Yeah. And you
was a
know what?
magical moment that,
This is a magical moment. I would rather not take this out of the podcast.
okay,
I would
okay.
rather not because I think, it is moments like this that really awaken us to what really matters. Do I
Exactly.
want to
Yes.
be on that, roller coaster of c- constantly worrying, constantly, being in this state of despair and fear? Or do I want
Yeah.
to actually open myself to God Almighty, to the
Yeah.
love of God, to the love
Yeah.
that lies within me that has been implanted there by God, and
Yes.
leave
Yes.
that for a while,
Yeah.
especially now that the going is hard? What a great opportunity for me to choose again.
Yeah. Yes. 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 Because we all, what I would go to church on Sunday, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably the last one in and the first one out. And then you start to realize the
Mm.
benefits of having a
I agree.
stronger relationship with God, that and it's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
for everybody. This is,
No,
so
of
I
course not. No. But it is for some. It is for some. And I think, even with the PC-PEP program, as you know, we have a spiritual component. We talk
yes,
about,
yes.
the secular idea of us, something being out there that is bigger than us, call it God. Other people may have different names for
Yes,
it. But
yes,
I,
yes.
90 more than 90% of the population does believe in something greater than us.
That's
So,
right. Yes.
and the indigenous people have part of the medicine will, there is a very big spiritual component. So
Right.
to turn our face away, we run randomized trials. We looked at the spiritual component of people's quality of life that plays a huge role in health and healing. So we couldn't be ignorant of that. So I'm actually very happy that we get to talk about that. I really thank you, Richard, for
Yeah. Okay.
having
Okay.
talking about this, because I think it's
Yeah.
very important. But let's go back a bit.
But
So okay,
yes. Yes.
how do you find out about PC-PEP? So tell us about this whole journey
Okay.
with
It,
PC-PEP.
it, it was in January of 2022 that you and Rob made a presentation to our prostate support group in Ottawa.
Right, right.
It wasn't, you weren't even a third of the way through your presentation that I was signing up. I said, this is the missing chapter. This is the missing leg on this three-legged chair that I'm balancing my like life on. And it just, so I signed up and we
Yeah.
started the program in February and
Wow.
have been a proponent of it ever since. It truly is what's required. As I say, the the medical team is focused. They're meeting hundreds of people over the course of not just with prostate cancer, but with all types of cancer. And so they've got the time to explain to you about the medication that they're wanting to. Do you want A or do you want B? Here's what I'd recommend. They don't have the time to deal with. Now, make sure you get your physical exercise. Make sure you practice your breathing. You start to eat right. They don't have any of the time to focus on what you and Rob have spoon fed to us,
Mhm.
and the daily videos were so uplifting to say, okay, it's another day. Let's go. I may not be able to do all of the exercises, physical ones or the Kegel ones, but I'll do as many as I can. And I may not eat as well as I should, but I'm conscious and aware of it.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
tell me, how would you describe? So you've been on the program since 2022. I know you're still attending monthly video conferences even
yeah,
after completing the program, and that's just so
yeah.
beautiful. Explain to us in your own words, what is this program about?
I got so much out of it. There was the physical side of things, the spiritual side of things, not shoving spirituality down, but just saying, do some meditation and deep breathing and control and think of just think of yourself. Um, the Kegel exercises, the nutrition side of things, which was huge because typically we don't have individuals don't have an understanding. If you've never had weight issues over the course of your life, and even if you did, you don't necessarily go in to say, okay, I should be eating this type of a food rather than this type of a food. And it provided you the opportunity to have exposure to different foods and different ways of preparing them, and that would help you. And the hooking up with a buddy or buddies is just wonderful. Like I unfortunately lost Andrew, who passed away. Um, but I'm hooked up with two other buddies that we meet and have been meeting since the start of the program. We meet weekly for a Zoom call. They're from Halifax and great guys. And we're not sitting dwelling on
No.
the diagnosis. It's just life, but you know that you're talking to the converts or people that are experiencing the same thing as you, and that is wonderful. The bloody hot flashes, yes. The, but I seem to have those under control. They only come out at night, and we've got a fan over top of my head, over top of our bed, and my wife refers to it as, okay, here comes the north wind. Um, I'm still struggling with, the fatigue side of things. I'm working on my cognitive abilities, because when you're aware, I never went into the internet to find out, to do a deep dive on what the side effects are and all of this. But I took it from a reliable sources that were, the support groups and the
Yeah.
support individuals, because I'm on alternative deprivation therapy, you understood, okay, you've got to be aware of certain side effects and the loss of muscle mass, the decline in cognitive ability, and the fatigue side of things. And so I'm dealing with those as best I can. I get a good morning's worth of doing, whether it be computering or out in the garden or helping a buddy. Um, uh, and then I give into it in the afternoon for a snooze if I don't have a commitment with one of the social groups that, and you say, okay, I made it through the whole day without a snooze. That's great. So
Yeah.
um, anyway, I can't say enough good about the program and encourage everybody to try it out. Just even come
Mhm.
to one of the monthly meetings and see uh, uh,
Mm.
that you're in a club of,
It is a club. Yeah, it is.
like-minded individuals that are looking at surviving, and each of us go off, and it's not just you going off exploring what opportunities exist, but you've got 60 guys that are doing the same thing, and one will come up with saying, here, try this out,
Yeah. Yeah.
or don't try it out, but it's worked for me. So
Yeah, it's really interesting. When we started developing the program back in 2019, we started with a very short version of it. It was only 30 days. We brought in 30 guys and we put them through the program. They had weekly surveys. There was no contact at that time with Rob and I. And they finished the 30 days. They lost weight. They did better in terms of mental health. And then we started interviewing them and saying, guys, what worked? What didn't work? And what would you like to see happening? And they said, well, love the program, but too short. I mean, there was almost a regret. There was almost, some of them said, I feel like I have something in my throat. You can't just stop it at 30 days. This is terrible. And
yes,
so Rob
yes,
and I said, okay, we're gonna. So what shall we do? The literature says that to form healthy, that's precious, and all of them have become mentors as a result of that. But the research says that we need maybe about 2-3 months for healthy habits to occur. And they said that's not long enough. And Rob and I looked at each other and said, guys, what do you want? And they said 6 months.
yeah,
At the minimum,
yeah,
6 months. And then there has to be an opportunity for us to see you on a monthly basis. And Rob and I again looked at each other. Okay. And to do that for the 6 months, they said, no, 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 no. Forever. And again, Rob and I looked at each other. I said, you mean that? Yes, absolutely. We can't just say goodbye. This cannot be. We were friends for life. So that was so precious. And we said, what if we did that? And that's exactly what happened. So that's why we've been having those monthly video conferences nonstop. We never once skipped it since
yeah,
2019. I'll never forget. Um, January 2019, we're in 2025, almost 2026 now. And the group has been growing. Now we're in different countries. We're in New Zealand, South Africa, the
yes,
Europeans have
yes,
come. So 4 continents. And it's just so precious. The way, like, for instance, even the fact that the New Zealanders want to be in the same group with the Canadians. They don't want to have separate monthly video conferences. How precious is that? Now in Europe, we have Europe and we have South Africa. They're also in the same time zone. So they want to be in the same group. And we even noticed that some of the South Africans wake up in the middle of the night, like 3 o'clock in the morning, to be part of the group that takes place at nighttime for them because they're 6 months
Oh,
ahead. So this is crazy, but I guess it just speaks to this idea that we are people. We are people. And we've become for each other that friend that doesn't say, "Oh my goodness, you've got cancer. Oh, this is terrible." But we
yeah.
are, "Oh, that's bad. Okay, what can we do? What
Yes.
can
Yeah.
we do? Can we do this together?" And Rob and I
Yeah.
are doing this together with you. And the update of the science, I mean, we love this because I'm the most up-to-date scientist. For every month, I have to update the latest read everything that has happened in the
That's
previous
yes.
month and bring you guys the latest news. And we
Yeah.
love it because we get to talk to you. Some things we know, some things we don't know from science. Because when there are new scientific updates, it's not always the last word on it. It's as much as like with the immunotherapy, right? We're beginning to test this. This is the hypothesis. This is what is believed. We're going
Hmm.
to have to wait a couple of years. Or with the time restrictive eating. Of look, they've done animal studies, and it shows that when you give your body a period of time in a day where you don't eat, the body has a chance to regenerate. So this is all new wisdom that is coming out of the science all the
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
thank God to the patients. Look at what we've done together. We've come
Yes.
up with a
Yes.
system, like you said, that bridges that gap between what the person experiences when they get a diagnosis and what the medical system has to offer, which is
Yeah.
very good
Yes.
at what they have to offer. But then what happens here?
What's the link between? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you talk about you folks doing continuous research. A big one was the cardiovascular risk for individuals with prostate cancer, as well as those on ADT. So, what we've done, we've got a cardiovascular specialist coming in to speak to us in the new year in 2026. I think it's in March. Um, um, and you may want to tap into that just as a listener,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're interested.
We
Uh,
do all the time, and that would be lovely. I mean,
I'll
we went to
send
such
you a
an
note.
extent. Yeah, actually, we went to such an extent. This is a very, very important issue that you brought up, the cardiovascular risk. In fact, many men end up dying of cardiovascular disease instead of
Hmm.
prostate cancer. So, what we've done on our website is when men join the program, and we've done this for, let's say, 3, 4 years now, we're putting information that they have to take to their family doctor once they come in the program because they have a prostate cancer diagnosis, to get checked for cardiovascular disease, to have the clinician keep a tab on their cardiovascular function during the duration of the program. And I think that's super important. The Canadian Neurological Association has put together wonderful documents that can be taken to a family doctor to have this be checked on a regular basis. And
Yes.
so we are very, very well, hard-headed about this because I think it's an issue that we can do more about, raising this awareness and also
Hmm.
empowering men instead of being passive and waiting for their medical doctor to bring this to their attention. Sometimes they forget. You
Yes.
take an active role. Just take the pamphlet we're giving you. It has been put together by the Canadian Neurological Association. Take that to your family doctor
Yeah.
and have
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
that checked. Yeah.
Because what we ended up doing was getting the being here with the Civic Hospital Heart Institute here in Ottawa,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they're connected with a mobile clinic that checks the workings of the heart, but it's the valves, not the
yeah,
arteries and that. But
yeah,
nonetheless, we ended up having a 3-day um, session with them because of you folks.
yeah,
And 2 or 3 guys were referred to a cardiovascular surgeon, so it would have
yeah,
gone undetected completely. So now we're
yeah.
arranging for this presentation with
Excellent.
doc
Yeah,
in the new year,
yeah,
and this will provide all of us the opportunity to question it, or just even be aware of the fact that you're more susceptible to heart risks than the average individual. So
yeah, yeah. No, it is so important. I mean, we recommend all men coming in the program to seek even their local support group, and it's so important to have that sort of support locally, but also through the program. I mean, use
Yeah.
whatever is there to your advantage. The idea is not to compete. The idea is to provide men with all resources that are out
Yes.
there to
Yeah.
better support them.
Yeah.
And we are also so happy, and we work with support groups all the time. Rob and I just came back actually yesterday from Toronto, the Walnut Foundation, which is a prostate cancer support group for Black men. Which have much higher incidences of prostate
Yes.
cancer. So we work with them all the time, and we keep stressing, make sure that you bring, if you bring any speakers, make sure that they're qualified. It's so important, because on occasion it happens, and it happens that speakers may come and they don't necessarily have the background, the education. They don't have the competency
Yeah.
to provide
Yes.
advice, and it can go astray from there.
Yes.
We had a
Yes.
case like that where Rob was put in a difficult situation because this individual was providing inaccurate information to prostate cancer. It can be very dangerous, and
Yeah.
so he had to speak up. And Rob doesn't particularly like confrontation, but he had to stick his neck out there and say, "I'm sorry. I happen to be a clinician." And the person said, "Oh," said,
Yeah.
"Yeah.
Yeah.
So please don't do that. Don't offer this advice. It's against medical practice.
Yeah. Yes.
Got to be
Yeah.
careful." So it's so
Yeah.
important. Again, I'm so happy that we're talking about that too, Richard.
Well,
The
that's good.
idea
Yeah.
of seeking professional advice. Make sure that you talk to people that are qualified, that know the latest scientific evidence, and they have the credentials to provide advice, because there's so much good advice out there: nutritional advice, physical
Exactly.
advice.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, anything else that you might want to add or say about the
Well,
program or your journey that might be helpful to others?
well, it just, I found, the benefits of participating in support groups, whether they be locally or elsewhere. And there's lots of them out there where like type individuals are focused on the same or are on the same journey that you are.
Yeah.
Um, that's where you need to get your information and your support from all of those groups. Another one was join the PEP, PC-PEP. I think I truly believe it was the missing chapter in the and it's not just because I'm face to face with you. I've told you this,
Yeah, I know.
over the 4-year period, and any opportunity I get, I say, you got to look at this. You got to look at this. Another is be good to yourself. I can remember one of the doctors, my radiologist, a young guy, and he just a wonderful chap. He said we discovered a new growth. I had a PET scan. He found where it was. He was able to radiate that in 5 treatments, and this was last October. And he said, "You're holding at this point here, but every
Mm,
day be good to yourself.
yeah.
Um, don't dwell on the diagnosis, understand it, but get on with your life to the extent that you can. Be grateful for what you have and be grateful for what has even been taken away, that you had the opportunity
Mm,
to experience it.
yeah.
These pleasures, and connect with a buddy that you can speak to about the diagnosis. Increase your social, I've got these written down here, increase your social interaction. And that was one of the biggest things that I got pleasure in, was participating in the dragon boat races here in Ottawa for the last 2 years. It was cancer survivors, and we just, it, you felt you were back as a teenager,
Yeah.
when you're under the tent with your feet in the sand. And it was just
So
heaven. It was
beautiful.
just absolute.
Camaraderie,
Yeah,
camaraderie. It's just beautiful.
yeah,
It
yeah,
heals
yeah,
the
yeah.
soul. It heals
Yes,
the soul.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and we continue to, now some people have dropped out of it, but they'll continue. I organize a breakfast or a meal that along with a couple other guys to pull us all together twice a year, outside of the races. And be active. You have to be active. That's to the extent that you can. You're not, but give in to tiredness. Inform yourself on the medication that you're taking, not necessarily the side effects, but what it's going to help you with in terms of your diagnosis, that you need to be on this. And thankfully, we are on, these medications are outrageously expensive. Outrageously, and I had no idea when you get the bottles dropped off, $0, $0. How fortunate we are, Be as positive as you can be. Challenge yourself to do more, not giving in to the diagnosis. Be your own advocate. That's no one's more interested in your health than you. These medical teams are overworked, so they don't mind you coming in with a list of questions and concerns, but you have to be prepared that these items are not going to come up unless you bring them up,
And I'm glad again you brought that up as well. So part of the program, when you join the program, Rob has a beautiful talk. As an oncologist, he's literally walking you through the practical tools, step by step, how to navigate the medical system. That's the title of his talk, and it's fantastic. Like Richard is saying, it's so important for you to have some practical items that you can check and say, did I bring somebody to my appointment? Did I mention this? Did I write things down? Because you forget. I mean, you're in front of that appointment. It's 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It goes by like this. And then you say, what was this about? I forgot to ask about this. How about that? And here you are at home. Now you have to wait another month or another 2 months. And you don't want to be in that situation where you wait and worry. And sometimes we wait, worry, and waste because we say, I'm not going to do anything. I have to wait for the next appointment. That's not good either, right? So this program really fills that gap where you don't wait, you don't waste, and definitely you don't worry, because we're here to provide that information that is bridging the two. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Richard, I forgot to ask you, do you live in Ottawa or outside of Ottawa?
In Ottawa.
In Ottawa. And I'm asking because sometimes I have specific questions for men who live in a rural area. So you live in an urban area. That's good to know. Yeah.
And there's lots of support, like.
Oh, totally. Yes. In urban.
With Zoom, you can pick up support across the country, any place, across the world, any place.
With technology, the paradigm has changed. We're now connected to the world, literally.
Yes.
The internet is really facilitating that. The internet connection is facilitating that. Richard, I cannot thank you enough for your kindness and your words of wisdom and your courage and willingness to do this podcast interview with me.
My pleasure.
Listen. Thank you.
Other
men will listen, and if we reach 1 man, Richard, we've done our work.
and that's it. Like all, the closing, I just say, if you're out there and you've got a diagnosis, you're one of the 8, 1 in 8 that has prostate cancer, investigate, if nothing else, the PC-PEP program.
We're here for you. PC-PEP.org. Thank you. Thank you, Richard.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And this concludes episode number 11 of our podcast. For more information about the Prostate Cancer Patient Empowerment Program, please visit PC-PEP.org. This is a free program as long as you speak English or French, and soon to be Romanian and Dutch. You're welcome to join this program for free. Visit our website to learn more. You need to have a computer and have access to the internet to be able to join. Until next time, be well and take care of yourself.